Bonjour and welcome to La French Tech on Air, our European video podcast series on business and technology. In Europe, La French Tech ecosystem is made of 27 communities that are connecting to the French tech startup scene and creating a bridge to European tech movement. My name is Billy Yen. I am a board member of La French Tech Cracovie. I'll be your host and moderator for today. Our guest is Dominika Walec, president of OMGKRK. Dominika, welcome.
Yes, welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
It's our pleasure. So we work a lot together here in Kraków and in general in Poland. So that's why I wanted to invite you, and I'm sure that you will have a lot to share with our audience. Can you start maybe with introducing yourself and your journey?
I'm Dominika Walec, yes, and I'm currently the CEO of OMGKRK, which is like a tech community, one of the leading here in Krakow. And I personally joined the foundation around 4 years ago, or even more, because the pandemic is making the life shorter for us. But I have a background in economics, so I did a PhD in management, and initially I've been actually involved in startups from the day one after my graduation, because I joined the Association of Entrepreneurship that was supporting entrepreneurial projects, mainly in the educational sector, because that was the network of 30 universities back then, and I was supporting project management for them and applying for grants and managing international projects. But at some point, I decided that it's nice to support entrepreneurs, with education, with seeing how they grow. But I also wanted to see how the startups are organized from interior, let's say, and try to be a part of one. And that's why I, over 9 years, I guess, back, joined FTOA, which is also one of the leading startups here in Krakow. And that was the time when when the team was actually structuring. So I was the first person in the business development, and I was able to co-create all the processes around business development and sales, and be part of that exciting journey of a startup. And I'm actually still there. So
that's really impressive.
This is really something that drives me. But obviously, 9 years at the same organization at some point forced me to find some new challenges, and that's why the OMGKRK let's say appeared on my path, and I decided that I already have a lot of experiences and knowledge that I collected working for FTOA, which is like a global brand, and I really have a huge portfolio of clients and projects that I could potentially share with other entrepreneurs. So that was initially something that drove me to the community to give back a bit and also share my knowledge. So I became a mentor. I started a mentorship project for women entrepreneurs, which was like a girls app at that time. And that was really something that was giving me energy and excitement. So eventually one day we decided with Paul that we will switch roles, and I will become the leader of the entire community and leader of all projects that we are running now. So that was again another challenge that I accepted, and I'm actually very happy of that role. So I really like working with young entrepreneurs and observing their growth. And if there's even a small percentage that I can add to that growth, then that's really something that makes me happy.
And you do help a lot. I can say from my point of view, and as a French Tech Cracovie board member, that I see all the things you're doing. That's really impressive and wonderful for the community. So thank you for that. And
yes, hopefully.
And you had a really amazing journey. So you started since the beginning to be interested and get involved with the startup ecosystem and helping them, supporting them. So How did it started? Why did you decide to go in this direction?
I was always, interested in innovation in general and how it's created. So my first it started with some research interests. So initially, my PhD was supposed to be about the drivers of innovation, but then it switched into the concept of clusters, which is like an idea of, especially in cluster initiative. This is the idea of different partners and organizations working in a given sector that are cooperating with each other in order to drive the economic growth in their specific domain, right? So you have, for instance, like biotech clusters, or you have, manufacturing cluster or IT cluster in a given region. And they cooperate, but also compete with each other at the same time. But these cooperations that usually cluster initiatives management are facilitating are stimulating their growth and make it even better projects or a faster growth. And that concept was very close to my heart, because I believe that we can do more by finding synergies between our activities, and we can come with economics of scale and some other interesting concepts utilizing our relationships. So that was the driver before let's say behind my research. I've been doing a lot of traveling at that time when I was collecting data for my PhD thesis, and I've been visiting many international ecosystems and talking to the top, let's say, managers of those initiatives worldwide, attending conferences and being really inspired with what they had to say. And I had to say that really those clusters in which this concept was really well developing, they had really amazing portfolio of startups and great achievements, and probably the foundation is it's also in some way operating in a very similar concept. Obviously, we are let's say industry agnostic at this point, so there's not just one specialization that we are let's say focusing on, but obviously with time, when the ecosystem will grow, because now we are probably quite young and small, with 250 plus startups here, which in comparison to other foreign ecosystems that have 3,800, like in Amsterdam, which I recently visited, then that's probably a long way ahead of us. But still, I think that we already see, even from our report, that there are some specializations that are emerging, right? And more companies are opening their activities in those fields. So I believe that that's even more exciting, right? When you're at joining those very early days. This is actually my startup drive that I like to create, and I like to have the power to be a part of something. So that's actually what made me start and be engaged.
I can feel that, and I can feel your passion every time we do things together, action, initiative. So that's really something that support and help to boost the energy around. And I can only say that working with you, it's always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Likewise.
I'll go back to this topic actually, because I have a few questions about what you said. But first, I'd like maybe to you to share a few words about OMGKRK as an organization. When was it created, and the why of the company, the organization?
Yeah, so the foundation itself was created in 2016, but I believe the whole, let's say, bottom-up driven community was established far earlier, with just a passion of a few entrepreneurs that decided that this is like a nice way of integrating community by establishing like a formal organization. But the whole, like, let's say, entire hashtag, which is like now a brand of our organization, was spontaneously created during one of the startups events. So that was the community that created the brand, because we, one of the international, let's say, coaches told us that without the brand, we are not existing. So that was the let's say the early days of creating that, and this hashtag is staying with us, even though for some it sounds funny, for others it sounds to the point. So I think that. That was the early days of it, and what we are now is a community that is on one hand structured in a membership way, right? So there's a group of companies and organizations that are supporting the foundations in a membership model. So we have different tiers of membership depending on the financial capabilities of a given organization, in which way they can donate to the foundation and its growth, and also the benefits that they are expecting from us to some extent. And but there's also so this is like the closest circle of let's say contacts and companies that are working with us. But there's also a bunch of organizations and companies that are in this broader circle, which are the remaining startups and other supporting organizations with which we closely cooperate and implement projects. But there are also individuals, like over 6,000 people on our Facebook group that are, contributing with their insights and initiatives to the growth of the community. So we are, I would say, an umbrella for different organizations here that are focusing on tech, that are focusing on innovation growth, and we create like a platform for them to, on the one hand, like spread the news about their initiatives. So we have different marketing channels that we use to inform the community about what is going on in the ecosystem. On the other hand, we have our own projects that are mainly focused on education of entrepreneurs, but also on networking. So this is the objectives here are changing depending on the needs. In the previous years, we were more focused on education. This year specifically, we're focusing mainly on networking, because we've discovered that after the pandemic, this is what the community needs again to reunite and let's say wake up after this more sleepy time. So that's why we have more networking. We had this amazing summer jam in June, and we have those monthly events, hangouts, in which people can, even from outside of the community, can come and meet each other in a very narrow circle, because we want those meetings to be small, so that you can actually build a closer relationship and even recurring relationship, because people are there are a bunch of people that are coming every month to meet each other. So this is what we mainly do. But obviously there's also a bigger picture behind what we want to achieve. So our mission is to build a world-class tech ecosystem here in Krakow. So we really want to create like better conditions for the companies to grow by attracting more talent, by making those connections that will allow you to spread the knowledge, learn from others, and collect those lessons learned, so that you don't need to make the same mistakes. And also we want to make the ecosystem more diverse. So we try to attract companies from abroad and make them involved in the ecosystem. We try to, involve some freelancers, expats that are coming to the city so that they can also learn that these companies exist, because obviously you know about big brands that are operating here, but not everyone knows about some small startups that are doing amazing stuff. Even in our summer gym, you've seen, Where Fits, that is quite early stage, and they are already doing this virtual fitting room, and this is like amazing. So I think that we want to people to understand that this tech ecosystem and landscape is very diverse, and then that there are obviously large corporations operating here, but there are also smaller companies with which you can make a huge impact, and that it's nice to try your skills there and grow with the company, grow yourself with the company as well.
Definitely. And I think that's what's wonderful, and what attracted me at the beginning when I arrived in Kraków a few years ago is the dynamic of the city, like that it's not huge city, but still a lot of things happening. And you were mentioning earlier that you were visiting a lot of international cities and seeing the ecosystem. And obviously it's not about comparing, but is there another city or ecosystem that sometimes you look up to in terms of the thing that we can take from them, or even thing we can do together?
Yes, obviously, I because I'm the fan of the concept of learning and learning by from others, then I wouldn't be true with myself if I haven't also in being inspired by others. So, for instance, even this year, I twice visited the startup Amsterdam and their ecosystem, and I have long chats with the representatives about the projects that they are running and the way they are structured, the way they are financed, so that we can also get some nice tips from them. Obviously, the structure of the way we operate is slightly different from how they do it, for instance, because we are almost completely privately funded, and our main source of financing is our membership fees. Obviously, we apply from time to time for grants, but this is let's say. We don't have like a stable financing from the government, which on the other hand, with other ecosystems that I visited, like Barcelona or, this Amsterdam, startup Amsterdam community, then they are backed with the government. And it's on one hand good because they have the stable source of financing. They can really create long-term visions and roadmap of projects, which is not always the case in our, model, because the financing that we can get from the companies is rather short term. So it's hard to have a big bold visions if you don't have the financing. But with those foreign ecosystems, it's usually backed with the government funding, and it's good. Because you have this stability, you can plan it, etc. But on the other hand, you have to also be, let's say, prepared for let's say change in the government setup, right? Change in some objectives that they have for 4 years of or 5 years of running. So I think that. There are some benefits of both. What I really, loved about, let's say, Barcelona, Tech Barcelona and their community was the place in which their, let's say, their headquarters is located, which is like Pier 1 in directly at the port. So that was in the harbor. And so I think that that was something that really made me, think that I'd love to have the same location here in the center of Krakow with this amazing view on the market square or something, because they are having this similar parties as we have, like hangouts, but they have it on the rooftop with the view on the harbor. So, you can imagine that you don't need to, encourage people to come, because this is like the top spot in the city. So, and the same is with the entire, let's say, office, that in the hall, they have like screens in which they are presenting logos of different corporations that are supporting them. And that's already a benefit, because this is like, a central point of different investors when they are coming into the city, they're visiting that spot. So, so this makes me envy in a sense, and that I love to have this type of, options here and resources. But on the other hand, we are trying in a different way, right? And trying more with those bottom-up initiatives, and that gives us freedom. That gives us, makes us closer to the companies that we are supporting, and hopefully to those individuals that will in the future be entrepreneurs. So, so we will see. Maybe one day we'll be having similar models as those foreign communities, but these days we are operating in slightly different model.
Yeah, I mean, it's also to put in perspective that Krakow is also a different scale than Barcelona and Amsterdam, and I really believe that what's happening here is pretty huge. I mean, I don't have any numbers to compare, but it's a lot of things happening. And talking about that, for people who don't know about Krakow or even about Poland, can you share maybe some success stories, local success stories, a successful startup that are here in Krakow, for instance?
The most well-known is obviously Brainy, which is like an educational platform here, created by a few colleagues that that were supporting each other in their early days of college with some educational materials and knowledge, and that spread across 35 plus countries or even more, and they have 350 million users each month.
That's huge.
It's growing. Yes, that's amazing, and this is actually also the biggest success if it comes to funding rounds, because they are the only company that had the Series D in our ecosystem, and they had I think 150 million US dollars on their account if it comes to those rounds. So I think that this is really one of the top, let's say, examples of, really global brands that are no longer a startup, I believe, because I think they have 350 employees now, and really, are very close, I believe, to the unicorn status if they don't really have it yet. So I think that this is definitely one of the examples worth mentioning. Obviously, we have companies like Early, which is quite also early stage, because I think that they were created in 2016 or something, and they also operate in, I think, over 30 countries with their quality sensor measuring devices that are collecting the data about the quality of air globally.
Yeah, actually, which is one of the big challenge in Krakow. And
yes, exactly. And that's how it started, right? We're solving. That's actually started during the hackathon, if I recall correctly. So that's also showing how local events can create the companies.
We're gonna talk more about it because we also have one episode with them.
Oh, awesome!
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. So, and another example was, for instance, Adron, which is also, a stakeholder of ours, and they are like AI-powered SaaS platform that provides a better customer experience for e-commerce. So, from what I know, they also are spreading globally. They have quite good presence in South America, so I think 25 countries again. So they are more on earlier stage because they just had their Series A, I guess. So there's still a lot to do, and they are rapidly growing. I think they have 100 plus employees at this point. So I think it's also worth mentioning. Obviously, I won't be telling much about Estimo, what we are doing there. But there's also LifeKit, for instance, that is like a great application for preschools and nurseries. So they are helping the directors and the owners to manage those facilities and reducing paperwork, saving time and money. So this is also a great example because this is actually awesome example because they recently acquired one of the Spanish companies, which was their competitors. So this is also showing the international expansion of the companies from our ecosystem. So that was actually something I really admired. So I think that there's really, Silver is also, one of the examples. We have the Stinterit, which is, I think, the company that we have a lot of in common, or if it comes to, our events in the French Tech. Because
exactly. We are planning to prepare some episode with them as well.
Yeah, so we definitely work. They're also our members. They're supporting us, and I think I've been visiting their office and their manufacturing plant here in Krakow, and I'm really impressed by the way
they're doing really well. So thank you very much, Dominika. I need to wrap up soon, but before that, I want to ask you, what's the next step for you and for OMGKRK?
As I've been explaining before, my idea for the upcoming months is to get more, let's say, engaged with the other communities out there, especially those abroad, so that we can learn from each other and also maybe get inspired with other projects that we could do together. Because obviously we did a lot already here in Krakow within our, let's say, internal networks and resources. And we'd like to, get inspired, be more inspired with other entrepreneurs and other ecosystem builders out there, and that's why I visited Amsterdam, visited Barcelona, and there's like Vienna and hopefully France at some point. So I hope that those would be sources of inspirations for another projects. But obviously, we will be continuing our networking events, especially at least till the end of the year. So you can visit us monthly for our hangouts, and feel free to approach me with some ideas for the upcoming projects. But yeah, we will be trying to hear what our community needs still to develop and try to build partnerships so that we be this umbrella organization instead of just one single driver that it's running their entire community. So that's my vision behind it. I think that what the OMG should be in the future is, even broader network of organizations that are acting in the same objective, but not necessarily all the projects have to be, let's say, owned and driven by us. So that's how I see it.
I remember this saying that together we can go further, and we're gonna follow that really closely. Thank you a lot, Dominika, for all that for today, and for me that was really a wonderful session. I hope you guys appreciated the conversation as well. And if you guys have more questions, feel free to reach out to Dominika. Follow OMGKRK on their website and their social pages. That was nice. You can see all the episodes on our YouTube channel. You can follow us on social media. The audio version is available as well on all the global podcast platforms. And we wish you a great day. Thank you very much.